Okay, we're on Mem Amid Beis. We're at 3 lines from the bottom, and the Gemara is discussing various shilas that Rabbi arose when he was in the yeshiva of Rav Huna. Yomi Rabbi Kiyavina be Rav Huna Yiboilan Babe Rav the Yossi Betanisa. You have a Talmud Chacham. He's going ahead. He's sitting right in Tainus. The Mali Shabbat. It's Friday, and therefore, if he's going to be mashlim the Tainus, if he's going to complete the Tainus, he's going to enter into Shabbos. What's the din regarding Tashlum? Does he have to complete it, or does he end a little earlier? So let have a biyadei. They didn't know. The Rav Huna didn't know the answer. Also came to Rav Yehuda. They came in front of Rav Yehuda. It was a Talmud of Rav. That's important. Let have a biyadei. He also did not know the answer to the shaila. Amar Rav Nichser. Now let's see. The Tanya. Tesbav shechali is b'Shabbos. If Tisha B'av falls out on Shabbos, v'chein erev Tisha B'av shechali is b'Shabbos, or if Erev Tisha B'av falls out on Shabbos, means that you're going to have to begin the Tainus Motzei Shabbos. You can eat and drink the whole day. Even the time Shlomo was king, before Hashmedai took him for a ride, you can eat to your heart's light. Chali is Tisha B'av Erev Shabbos. However, if it falls out on Erev Shabbos, you bring him a beitza to eat, the oichel, and he eats, that he should not enter Shabbos when he is in the state of fasting. So we see l'chorah, we can be posher the shaila that you're not able to complete the fast. Tanya, however, Rabbi Yehuda, Pamachas Ayini Yoshvi, Lufnei Rabbi Akiva, we were sitting in front of Rabbi Akiva. The Tisha B'av Shechal V'Yasper Shabbos Hoya, and was Friday. Tisha B'av was on a Friday. The Heavy like Beit Samalugolis, they brought him a slightly roasted egg. V'Gama B'Loi Melach, and he ate it. Rabbi Akiva ate it B'Loi Melach. B'Loi Shoy Toyev, not that he had a desire for it. El Haris and Talmidim. Halacha, because he wanted to show the halacha that you're not mashlim tainus. Rabbi Yossi Omer misana umashlim. He says you fast and you complete the tainus. Tosfos points out over here that the reason Rabbi Akiva ate it is because he was sick. Rabbi Yehuda made a mistake when he saw Rabbi Akiva eat it. He mistakenly thought that you're not mashlim the tainus. He didn't realize the reason Rabbi Akiva didn't ate it was because he was a chola. And Rabbi Yossi knew that, and therefore Rabbi Yossi says this is not a raya. In fact, you do go ahead and you mashlim the tainus. If it falls out on Sunday, that you mafsik on Shabbos, you start fasting Shabbos night. It's true. So Rabbi Yossi said to them, what's the difference if you enter Shabbos fasting? What's the difference leaving Shabbos when you're fasting? So they told him it's a big difference. You ate all Shabbos, and therefore when Tisha B'av falls out on Sunday, you can go ahead and fast starting Shabbos night because you ate the whole day. What are you going to do? All of Friday you were fasting yourself, you were misana, and now you can go ahead and be mashlim the tainus on Shabbos by your own Shabbos. Despite this, the conversation and seemingly the Rabbanan's answer, Rabbi Yossi, nonetheless says Ula halach Rabbi Yossi that you're mashlim the tainus. You would fast if you fast on a Friday. You would even fast going into Shabbos. Fred, when we have dinner Rabbi Yossi, do we really do like Rabbi Yossi, or we minol a stira? Ain't guys in tainus al tziba. You're not guys a tainus on a tziba. They used to have a series of tanesim if it didn't rain. They would have a series of tanesim. You don't start those tanesim. However, if you began those tanesim weeks before, then in that case, you do not go ahead and be mafsik. You would go ahead and continue to fast on Rosh Chodesh, Chanukah, and Purim. Rabbi Gamliel. Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Gamliel ein mafsikin, even though Rabbi Gamliel is moida, that you're not mafsik this series of tanesim for rain. Nonetheless, moida he's moida. That if you began the tainus, you don't go ahead and complete the tainus. So Rabbi Gamliel would hold that what on Erev Shabbos, l'chayra, you would not complete the tainus, as the Gemara is about to state. If Tisha B'av falls on a Friday, l'chayra, just like on Chanukah you don't complete it, Rosh Chodesh you don't complete it, and Purim you don't complete it, Uadin you don't complete it on a Friday going into a Shabbos. The Tanya la'acha Petir Rasa Shel Rabbi Gamliel changed the gersa after the Petir Rabbi Gamliel nichlas Rabbi Shua lehefres Tavarav. Rabbi Shua wanted to go in and stop and say, in fact, you do fast. You are mashlim the fast on Tisha B'av on a Friday. Amar Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri al Raglav Amar Chazi Ano the Basar Veishiguf Also. Kol Yom Rabbi Gamliel Kabanu Halach K'maisai that we don't complete the tainus when Tisha B'av falls out on Friday. Achshav Atam Avakesh Levatel Dvarav Yeshua Ein Shayim L'Chom. We're not listening to you. No one went ahead and was married in this matter. So this is all a question back to Ula. How can you, Ula, passing like Rabbi Yossi, that you're mashlim the tinus? You see from the whole desire of Rabbi Yeshua to end that psak, Rabbi Yochanan knew he's standing up for that psak, that we don't mashlim the tinus. The halacha is like Rabbi Gamliel, not like Rabbi Yossi. Says, and for the Gemara, B'dorish Gamliel of the Kerem Gamliel. The Dor Rabbi Gamliel, they did like Rabbi Gamliel, and they were not mashlim the tinus. B'dorish of Yossi, however, of the Kerem Yossi, and they were mashlim the tinus. Ula lived in the door of Rabbi Yossi. Ula lived in the door of Rabbi Yossi, and therefore what they were mashlim. Afraid the Gemara, Ubedorish of Rabbi Gamliel, of the Kerem Gamliel, to be mashlim the tinus. Now, just a little background. When they came back from the Churban, from the Bayis, first Golas, and they created the Bayis Rishon, there was a shortage of wood. And there were people who donated wood. And they were rewarded with a day being set aside that they would go ahead and bring the wood on that day. And that was a day of a Yom Tov for them. So on Yud Ba'av, there was a Mishpacha B'nai Sana'av. There were the B'nai Sana'av from Binyamin. And they went ahead, that was their Yom Tov. So with that background, the following story. Happy to say that in the time of Rabbi Gamliel, they did like Rabbi Gamliel, Vatanya, Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Tzaddik. Ani B'nai Sana'av Binyamin. Tosis points out he was a Kohen, but it must have been from his wife's side. He was the Mishpacha of B'nai Sana'av, whose Yom Tov was on Yud B'av. Pamachas Chal Tisha B'av Liyos B'Shabbos. Tisha B'av fell out on Shabbos. V'achinu L'achra Shabbos, which was our Yom Tov, Yud. V'hisanu Boy, we fasted, however, we didn't go complete the Tainus. We didn't complete the Tainus because it was our Yom Tov. Timer, the reason we didn't complete it is because the Yom Tov, it was our Yom Tov. Our Erev Yom Tov Mashlimim, but it was Erev Yom Tov. Taka, you would complete the Tainus, like Rabbi Yossi. So and Rabbi Elazar Tzaddik lived in the time of Rabbi Gamliel. So you want to say in the time of Rabbi Gamliel, they did like Rabbi Gamliel. You see Rabbi Elazar Tzaddik, they didn't do like Rabbi Gamliel, even in that time. It's a big difference between their Yontif and Shabbos. Their Yontif, since they can go ahead and fast for a few hours of the day, therefore they can be mashed, they can go ahead and be enter and be mashed in the tinus. Shabbos, Shabbos, where you can't fast a little bit hours, you have to fast the whole day. You can't go ahead and be mashed on the royas, therefore you can't be mashed on it. I didn't hear the sugya with this conversation about Rabbi Gamliel. You taught it to us. Remember, and Abai, his Talmud would remind him. And I know he's reminding him. He said, "You taught it to us." You taught us in the following sugya. This is what we quoted above. You're not going to the series of Tanesim that began on a Tziba, Rosh Chodesh, on Chanukah, Purim, and then we concluded with even what Tisha B'av that fell out on Friday. That what you're not mashlim. Chacham would hold on Chanukah you would complete it on the series of Tanesim for water, for rain. And on Chanukah you completed, on Purim you completed, on Rosh Chodesh, and on Rosh Chodesh you completed. My lava kula, all of them, which would even include Tisha B'av on Shabbos, on Friday, Tisha B'av on Friday. It would even include that. So you see, l'chayra, halacha is like Rabbi Yossi, not like Rabbi Gamliel. It says Chanukah Purim. The din of Hashlama, finishing the tinus, is not going on the whole clause of the Brisa, the Rosh Chodesh, Chanukah Purim, and Tisha B'av on Friday. It's only going on these three. Tisha B'av on Friday, you would in fact not complete, like Rabbi Gamliel. So Achanami Mistaba to say that it's only going back on Chanukah and Purim and not on Tisha B'av falling on Friday. Because if you can think that what? It went on the whole thing. We began the sugya, fellas. They asked Rabbi asked from Yehuda, like if you go back to the Yomi days, it says over here, V'amar Rabba, right? It says they asked him Shaila, and he didn't know it. He didn't know the answer. So Bishlam, you tell me it's only going Chanukah Purim. It makes sense he didn't know the answer about Hashlama because it wasn't going on the last din of Tisha B'av falling on Friday, right? But Mashenkin, if you tell me it's going the whole thing, why didn't he know the answer? Right, rhetorically. And here we see Rav Huna being placed at the Shaila. What do you have to say? The Shaila was asked before they heard the answer to the question. So therefore they didn't know the answer. So therefore, Yehuda heard from Rav afterwards, Rav Huna heard it afterwards, and therefore he pushed the shaila. That misane, you fast Tisha B'av on Friday, mashlim, and you complete it. The halacha misane umeshlim, and the halacha is taka that like Rabbi Yosi, not like Rabbi Gamliel. In fact, you would go ahead and begin the tainus on a Friday and be mashlim the tainus on a Friday. Hajjalach koma arvin, hajjalach koma arvin, hajjalach koma arvin. Now, we're going to enter the sugya of Erev Tchumim. Erev Tchumim, again, is you're given 2,000 amas from the end of your city. If you go outside the Tchum, you're limited to 4 amas. What happens if you don't go outside the Tchum, but you're physically removed? Someone takes you outside of the Tchum. We're going to get into that, and there's a lot of very, very interesting halachas. Says the Mishnah. Misha Eitzu Nachrim. Nachrim go ahead and they take him out of his Tchum. Or it's nichnas by some type of foolishness, not worse than that, a sickness. Ainly ela dalan amis, you only have dalan amis. That's all you have is dalan amis. You're a nynus. You were a ruach ra. And you wised up. All of a sudden you got lucid. Nonetheless, you're stuck. The goyim leave you. They take you out. They leave you. You're stuck. 4 amis. However, hichsiruhu, if the goyim take you back, then it's like you never left, and you regain your tchum of 2,000 amis. Halichuli or acheres. Let's say the nachrim take you to another city. And the snu bidir, they then put you in some type of corral or basar. Also, these are pens for animals. You get the whole expanse of the pen. You don't say that you're limited to 4 amas. If the pen, since it has walls around it, it has to do with Rishus HaYachid, you would get the whole expanse of that pen. You won't be limited to 4 amas as you would outside the pen. However, B'Shuv and Akiva, they disagree. Ainly ela dalan amis, you only have dalan amis. Now we're going to have a maisa with a boat, and again, being a tchumenat. Maisa shebo, the maisa that happened, and they came, Fandasrin. Fandasrin is a place, southern Italy. It borders the Mediterranean, and they boarded this boat. So now, they were koinish visa on the port. They embarked, right? Now they're outside the tchum. Question: do you have to stay within dalan amas on the boat, or do we view the boat as a pen, and therefore they would get the whole boat? Same result. Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Elazar, and Isaiah Hochu as kula. They walked the whole distance of the boat, and Rabbi Shua, Rabbi Kiva, Loizazu, they didn't move. Midalan amas sherotzu lahachmer latzman. They wanted to be machmir. Mashma, they agree you get the whole boat, but they wanted to be machmir. The Gemara will say that it's speaking where boat was moving, and really every time it moved, you got another 4 amas. So really, even Rabbi Elazar and even Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Kiva said you could move. However, they're worried if the boat would stop. That's why they were goyzer, and that's why they were machmir, that the boat might stop, and therefore they didn't move. They got towards the port. It was Friday, and if they were outside the tchum before it landed at the port, they'd be stuck on the boat. So can we go down on him? The Gemara is going to say Rabbi Gamliel had a 2,000 amas scope. He had a scope that he could see within 2,000 amas, and he looked, and he was able to see the port, so he knew that you were in the tchum, and therefore what? You were kind of shvisa, but you see the tchum you were kind of shvisa within the 2,000 amas of the port, and then you're good. The Gemara goes tangentially off, since it mentioned Ruach Ra, it tangentially goes off into this tangential sunset. 3 things cause a person to go against his base will, his base nature. Notice that he's not responsible for. Nor against the Kodesh Baruch Hu. Eluhain, 1, a guy can force you sometimes to do something you don't want to do. Ruach Ra, or something's nichnas to you into Ruach Ra. Or the poverty, when a person's poverty stricken, you never know what a person's capable of doing. If you see a person in that situation, says the Yaakov, you should daven for that person, because again, he could be out of control. Gimel, there are 3 that ain't willing to play Gehenim. Their lives have such difficulty, they'll never see the face of Gehenim. Elohein, a person who again is going through severe poverty, and 2, and a person who has an intestinal disorder which causes great pain, and being summoned to be near a bathroom all the time. It's not a very, very geschmack of life. Therefore, they're going to get a haba. The Harashos, Rashi says that he has creditors. Tosfos says it's the government. Bottom line is that if you have creditors, you have the life, and therefore the next world will be better for you. The Yeshayimim, Af misheyesh le'isha, someone as a isha, a bad wife, someone who, again, I don't want to be descriptive, but someone who you just don't want to come home to. In that case, what? She's always with you, and therefore, Moitzani Marmavis is Isha. The Chidah says, I found in life nothing worse, right? The only thing I found worse than death is a wife. Moitzani as a Mavis, Marmavis is Isha. What's the reason? Says the Chidah, there can be nothing worse than death. Because no, it's not true. Because if a person has a lousy life, at least he has Nechama, Lachem Beis Esem Shan, he'll be in there L'memes. But if he has a bad wife, she might be there with him. So she doesn't even have that. So Moitzani Marmi Mavis es Isha. I don't know if it's a joke, but it goes on the Gemara and Brachas where they would ask a person matzah, like matzah isha matzah tov, or moitza as a isha mami maves. Bottom line is that if you have a bad wife, and it doesn't work out in this world, you'll have no gehenna. And the one who says an isha is not considered one of the bad things, you can divorce her. The one who says, why don't you divorce her? You can't afford to divorce her. Or you have children, and I guess if you have children, that's not an option. The person finds himself in a situation of tremendous poverty or bad wife or being chased by creditors, and therefore you'll be zeicha to the next world. Three people are capable of dying when they're speaking. Again, that's a terrible disease. A woman who just gave birth. Droikin is a disease that begins in the throat, in the mouth, and works its way down. So if this person knows they're suffering from this disease, what should they do? My nafkamina is prepare your shrouds, get ready your tachrichim, you may need them. Okay, we said in the Mishnah the following. We said that if you are taken out by the goyim, you only get 4 amas. If you returned, then you get back your 2,000 amas. So there are 2 possibilities. You're outside, you're inside, and there's 2 possibilities. You went out against your will and you returned against your will. Says the Gemara is going to conclude that's the only hechetimsa that you get everything. You need 2 things that are positive. 1, it was against your will, and 2, you returned against your will. However, if you went out midas and you returned unwillingly, or you were taken out unwillingly and you returned ladas, in that case, you'll be stuck in dalet amis, because you need both milas, not a chesarim of das. Says the Gemara. Amar Rav Nachman Mishmul Yatzel Das Ein Li Ela Arba Amis Pshita Hashne Misha Yitzu Nachrim. A person was taken out by goyim unwillingly. Ein Li Ela Dal Amis Yatzel Das. If he wandered out by himself on purpose, be boy, you need to tell me he only gets 4 amis. Seems like a double pashat. Ela Ema Chazel Das Ein Li Ela Dal Amis. If he returns back, he only gets Dal Amis. Right? He was taken out by the goyim and he returned back. He only gets Dal Amis. It says Gemara Hanami Tanina. We learned that as well. It says Hechsiru Nachrim. The goyim brought him back in. Mashma that he had to be brought back in, not he wanted back in. Kilo yatsa. Kichsiro, who the kilo yatsa? Avoitsu nachrim because the das in the dalanamis. Ella, what does it mean? Ema yatsa ladas. If he went out ladas, kichsiru nachrim, the nachrim brought him back in the dalanamis. Says the Mahanami Tanina. We also learned that. Kitziu kichsiru kilo yatsa. Kitziu kichsiru who the kilo yatsa. After he was taken out and brought back, it's like he never went out. Avoitsu ladas. If he went out willingly, like. I could say the Mishnah is, we're learning the Mishnah the correct way. What's that? The guy took him out and the guy brought him back. What happens if I learn the Mishnah as 2 separate cases? Look at the Mishnah. Misha Itzu Nachrim, case number 1, he only gets Dalet Amis. Case number 2, he goes out Ladas and Ichsiru, the guy and bring him back, then Kilo Yatsi would get 2,000 Amis. I mistakenly might think that's a separate case. Kamash Malon, no, it's one case. That the what? He took you out and he brought you back in. Here's the study. Misha Etziu Nachrim v'chos ladas ein le'el dal amis. Aval yotz ladas v'tziru Nachrim kilo yotza k'mash malon. I wish everyone a gemach chasim toiva, a good given shtior. Steve Geller, I did this for you.